So what's your opinion? Is it a bad thing to have an imbalanced gender split in a story? Let's think about this for a moment on this episode of the StoryPod podcast. Come on in, Bestie. Welcome to StoryPod, where we do the doing of story development together. Brought to you by Creative BFF. Listen, good evening. I'm so happy to be with you again. Okay, it is evening for me. It is after work, which is when I seem to be filming these videos. So I would like to preface this by saying, please forgive any sort of brain frazzle, flubbing my words, all that kind of stuff, kind of like stopping in the middle of the sentence. Listen, my brain is like, we're on shutdown mode a little bit, but listen, I wanted to come and hang out for even a short time with you today. And I'm very glad to be here. I hope you're glad to be here as well. So my name is Ashley. I am your creative BFF. This is the StoryPod podcast. Thank you for joining me. And you're my BFF, okay? If you have any questions that I can answer regarding your story, or if you would like to book some one-on-one story development, story coaching time, you can do so at my website, creativebff.com. You can also reach out via email at ash@creativebff.com, or you can shoot me a cute little DM on Instagram, which should be, if my memory serves, your_creative BFF, but all that's going to be linked below for you, bestie. All right, so just check it out. You can head below, click some linkity links. But what we are doing today is we will be answering a Reddit question so that we can put in some of these story sets and reps and build our storytelling muscle. Even if the question is not necessarily broadly applicable to everybody's story, I can say that, oftentimes these questions, obviously they're usually very specific story questions for someone's very specific story, but I find value in answering questions that aren't related or even in a genre necessarily that I'm writing in, because it just keeps the storytelling muscle strong, fresh, vibrant, ready to go, juiced up, lubed up, ready to perform when I need them to perform for my own stories. And then you have a whole repository, of possible ideas that you can spin and mix into your own world. And I just find that stories come quicker when you're practicing, even if it's not your own. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and jump right into the question. I hate it when people say, let's jump right in after you've given a 3-minute, 4-minute, 5-minute intro. We're not jumping right in. Okay. We're going to now transition into answering the question. So this question comes from r/fantasy writers. Is it an issue / problematic that there's only one girl in my main cast? And this is by top_relationship 7956. I'm currently writing a fantasy novel with a psychological twist, and the plot might be relevant to my question. So here's a short description, girl. All these coming in. 4 street teens plus my female main character get trapped in a parallel world full of ancient creatures and a curse meant to keep humans out. Their journey is different for each of them. Nature is literally alive, and the world keeps steering them in directions they can't explain. And as the curse tightens around them, they learn its cruelest secret. Those who falter are doomed to wander illusion after illusion until madness becomes their only companion. So basically, you can imagine it as a portal fantasy world like Narnia, only with street criminals from Soviet Russia and a very different aesthetic in the other world. My female main character is carefully developed and represents the struggles of women who grew up in a traditional household. Her character arc isn't about becoming physically stronger, but about finding her voice and confidence in a world where she only ever fit in by making herself small. I come from a traditional background myself and am a woman, but I've seen plenty of poorly written female main characters from female authors too. So gender alone doesn't determine whether a character is well written. I also have several other female characters that the main group will meet along their journey, but my fear is that readers might criticize the lack of female representation because there are 4 main male characters and only 1 female main character in the core group. I have tried to add another girl, but it just doesn't fit the plot and also felt inauthentic. The story is set in the 80s in Soviet Russia, and the boys come from the gang culture, the Kazan phenomenon, which plays a major role in the plot. They meet my female main character by accident, as girls weren't part of these groups. I know I should write what I'm aspired to write and not change my story out of fear of criticism. At the same time, I'm curious about your opinion. Am I overthinking this, or is this a valid concern? Thank you in advance for any input. So, TLDR, you're overthinking it. I wouldn't say it's not a valid concern, but I think it's not a concern in this case. And okay, it's just a sign of the times. But what should I say? My motto, my thought, I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of, idea, plan, the thing that I follow, my principle, girl, it took me 85 years to come to some close word. My principle, and that might not even be the word I want to use, is that you do what is best for your story. And since this is not something that is, intending to be like insensitive and whatever the case may be, you just got to do what's best for your story. Now, you've already laid out that the era that you're writing in and the group that the backstory of the group that you're focusing on is from a world where there aren't many females. And I feel like you'd also be justified not having a female in the cast at all. It could just be a group of boys, and you would be totally justified if it's like, okay, these are all gang members from a particular time in a particular country. It doesn't make sense for there to be a female in with the group. It makes it interesting. I don't know anything else about the story, but as long as it is authentic, like you said, to the story, it fits logically in the world that you are pulling from and that you're creating, I say go for it. It's nice that there's another girl, and I think that it could add some very interesting conflict and relational development and all of that kind of stuff by having a female thrown into a group of boys who primarily, apparently, I don't know anything about this time in history or this particular group, but throwing a female into that, a female character, I think can add some very interesting moments, growth in these characters, give them a different perspective and a point of view, and I think that that's great. And I am glad that you chose not to try to shoehorn in another female character just to try to preempt any criticism that you may get from certain segments, not certain segments, but from some potential readers who might feel like there's not enough female representation in the story. You got to do what's best for your story. And everybody's not going to like everything, and it's okay. And you can't please everybody. And that's just a fact of life, unfortunately, as much as some of us would like to. I come from a people-pleasing sort of background. But honestly, it's like, you just have to think about it like, well, if you want a story that has an even blend of male and female, or even is only female, that's not this story. I appreciate that that's what you like. And there are plenty of other stories that have that ratio, that gender split ratio, and whatever other topics you may want to have. And that's just not this story. Every story can't be about everything and cover every possible group that would want to be covered. And it's nice that people like, if somebody's like, well, there should be more girls. Well, it's like, okay, you can look at it this way. It's nice that this person likes the story and the world enough that they would want more girls. And then my thing would be like, go write fan fiction. go write some fan fiction and add these other characters that you want to see. Okay? And have fun with it and make it, modify it. Fan fiction is a really fun pastime. But as writers, I think that it's important that we have a little gumption. Would that be the correct word? We have a little chutzpah. All right. We're kind of a little bit brave in what we're presenting and allowing for the fact that some people may not like it. Maybe some people will be offended by some things. If it's part of the story that is necessary for character development. I mean, there's terrible things written in books. There's terrible scenarios that happen that are written in books. And, those things may not be my cup of tea. And so I don't seek those stories out. I seek out the stories that I want to read, that I like. And if I end up not liking something, I will stop reading it and close the book. I don't expect every story to cater to me and to my taste. I just find the ones that do. So as a writer, you will be catering to a specific audience with a specific taste, and they'll either like it or they won't. And there will be people who don't like it, and maybe specifically for the reason that you mention here. But stop overthinking it. Move forward with the group of boys that you have with this one girl. Enjoy writing the story. And the author already says, I'm looking over here, I know I should write what I'm inspired to write and not change my story out of fear of criticism. Point blank, period, girl. Point blank, period. You can stop right there. You didn't even have to write this whole post. I understand that you wanted to know what other people think about it, but you already answered your own question from within yourself. The answer was inside you all along. Okay? Trust it and move forward, and be okay with the fact that you may get criticism and that people may not like your story, but there will be people who will, and they'll appreciate the fact that you didn't cave to pressure to shoehorn in characters that don't fit the story, that shouldn't be there, and that are pandering, and that it's obvious, and it's like, this is a useless character wasting time on the page, And what's wonderful is that you mentioned that you have given the female main character a very thorough treatment. And I expect that this is going to be a very authentic character, who, the way you're setting up the character follows logically. Hopefully there won't be any annoying cliche stuff, with this character. Sometimes there's always going to be a few little things probably for any character, but go forth in confidence. I'm going to stop talking now because I have belabored this point long enough, because I don't really have anything specific. This is more of an opinion piece. And I should have asked, and I forgot to say this. Hopefully you did this. You probably didn't. Maybe you did. But I'm very interested to hear what you think. And I would have asked you, if I had remembered, to pause the video and answer the question yourself. And maybe you do think that there's not enough female representation in this particular book. And that's totally fine to have a totally different opinion from me. So how would you handle this? How would you answer this question for this person? It's not really like a story question necessarily, like a brainstormy developing the story kind of question, but it's something that we have to think about in these times. And I think that the overarching advice that I would give, and that I follow myself, which I already mentioned, is that I just do what is best for the story. And I bring in the characters and I create the characters that I feel are best for the story, for what I want to get across. And I don't worry over much about trying to tick off every box of possible representation, because listen, there are millions and millions and millions and millions of writers and stories that are out there to anybody's taste. And I've just accepted that, what I write is a reflection of what I think and my values and what I'm interested in and what I like to see, and generally what I like to write. And there's a writer for every reader, girl. There's a writer for every reader. And I think that people nowadays, maybe both audiences and creators, feel like they put a lot of burden, I think, on one story or on a creator to check off all of their boxes of what they think should be in a story, or else they're going to be offended and feel like, you're leaving out some group of people. And to me, I'm just like, listen, girl, there's somebody who's written that story, and all you have to do is go find it. That's not this one. I respect your opinion, and I respect your desire for this. And thank you for even reading my story and being engaged enough to want to see other types of representation, whatever that looks like for whoever's reading it. It's just not this story. That's not to say I won't ever write a story with that in there, but for right now, we're laser focusing on this type of character mix. So I'll catch you next time. If it's not for you, I totally understand. Go make yourself happy. You know what I'm saying? Have a little bit of, my mom would say, have a little attitude about yourself. Let people be mad, girl. Somebody's always gonna be mad. All right, let them stay mad. And you do you. I'm gonna stop there because I could probably continue rambling on and getting less and less sensical, or more and more nonsensical. Sensical is probably not a word, but getting less and less sensical, girl. So listen, have a great weekend. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with me. I don't know that this was a specifically super helpful thing, but it's just like a thought experiment. What do you think about the times that we're in and the expectations that people may have around representation? I know it can potentially be a little bit of a sensitive, hot button topic. Don't make assumptions about what I'm saying, and don't make assumptions about me about it. I won't make assumptions about you. We all have our things, right? Let me stop before I actually make you guys mad at me. Listen, there's no reason for you to be mad at me because we're best friends. Even though best friends can argue, sometimes we can disagree, and we can agree to disagree, but that's not what's happening here. I love you. Goodbye. Have a great weekend.